Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of For All Mankind by Story Archives. I'm your host, Mario Busto, alongside
The other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back.
Welcome back, y'all. We're back with episode 5 titled Goldilocks. And it seems like our Mars Happy Valley crew is going to have a chance at redemption with another asteroid capture.
That is for sure. You know, I'm really excited to see all of the drama unfold here with all of the nations trying to capture it. Everybody's trying to take ownership of, I guess, who discovered it first. Nobody's happy with each other. And it's just really pitting every nation against each other even more than some of the events already have started to do. So I sense a lot of issues in the future here. I don't think this is the event that we were hoping that's really going to bring everybody on Earth together. This, I feel like, is going to divide us a lot more.
Yeah, it was one of the things I thought about when we opened up this episode was the really creative email we got earlier in the season of hoping that not a calamity, so to speak, but like discovering alien life would altogether get rid of all human conflict and eventually lead For All Mankind to become Star Trek.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because I was wondering if the discovery for a moment before we knew it was an asteroid, I thought it could have been a sign of life. Like, why not just deviate, just deviate completely and find some craziness. But no, it's an asteroid. And at first I thought maybe it was on a collision course, but
that's what I thought. I thought it was headed towards Earth and they were like, guys, we all got to go to Mars right now.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe we run into a scenario later in the season where, because it's going to hit near Mars orbit, that Happy Valley might be at risk of getting hit by the asteroid. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I could see that as well. That would suck, trying to get everybody off there. You'd lose a lot of work, like a lot of time, too, from everything that you've installed on Mars.
Yeah, but it would bring all of the nations together and at least for a little bit, right? They put away some of the petty stuff, but I think like if humans are involved, no matter what, there's just always going to be a return to that conflict, no matter what occurs. Man, there are so many characters in this show. Like there are a ton of characters, and I gotta tip my hat to them. The hat that I'm not wearing. They do a good job of making me care about characters that are barely on screen, and they do a lot of good writing for these one scene characters like Palmer. Who kind of drops a bombshell in this. He's not a commanding officer, but he's one of the higher ups on the ship in Happy Valley.
Yeah.
And he notices Ed has a tremor in his right hand that he seems to be hiding. And that's what sets off like a whole, stirs the pot, crap hits the fan, so to speak, when this news gets out, or at least gets to Danielle. Because you could tell Palmer's like one of these like young NBA players probably. Who like grew up watching LeBron James and now he's had like a 20-year career and now they find themselves lined up with him on the same team. It's like discovering if LeBron had like, some medical condition that he was hiding. Like he's such a legendary figure that it's like if you feel like you're snitching on your childhood hero, which has got to be a horrible feeling. Right?
Yeah.
And the writing was good with it. What'd you think of the presentation of some of like the more lesser known characters in the show in this episode in particular?
No, I honestly, I think I agree with you. The thing that you just mentioned is what stands out to me the most, right? Like, I mean, you literally immediately sucked into the fact that like Ed was his childhood hero. Like you can kind of feel it, right? I really did like it. I felt bad for him in that scene because I was like, man, if I was in that position, I wouldn't want to say anything. I'd be like, no, we're good. But at the same time, I'm really glad that he did the right thing because there are so many people's lives that you're putting at risk from keeping that quiet, which is another reason I'm going to say why
let me tell you,
becoming less of a fan of Ed. Like I still like Ed. Like he's still one of my favorite characters from the whole show in its entirety. But man, I'm really not liking the choices that he's been making recently.
I think that's okay though, because I think that's, par for the course. In terms of like what they say, never meet your heroes type of thing.
Yeah.
People, when you put people on a pedestal, they're going to let you down. Okay. Yep. And, for Ed, he has a lot of good and he has a lot of negative, like anybody, same as any of the other characters who are heroes in the show, like, Danielle Poole and, the Stevens and we'll get to the Stevens because I caught on to a theme of something we're going to see here. in the show that's developing. But I think there was also a sense of betrayal on Palmer's part, right? Like you grew up, you revered this figure, this historical figure, this hero of yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you looked up to this guy is because you saw him on TV have a moment where he took responsibility for the failure of the moon, right? Of not getting to the moon first. He took personal responsibility. And he said he learned in that moment that you have to take personal responsibility even when it's tough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is a lesson that I wish some of our world leaders would look at, right? And kind of see, because I feel like as a society and the media and everybody in general, we always cast down anybody who gets caught in a mistake or that they messed up. But we all F up. So if we could have a leader who honestly would say like, hey, I screwed up, we're gonna amend it. Yep. Some of our greatest leaders in history have had colossal failures and they recovered through the failure. But we're in this day and age where, like, if Ed Baldwin was a true actual character in real life and we found out that he was hiding or doing something that he failed on, he'd be done. He'd be out of a job, and you know the media would be crucifying him, people would be crucifying him, rather than appreciating somebody who takes personal responsibility. And then if their actions back it up and they do better in the future, you reward that person. You know, you don't kill them and don't ever give them a chance again.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability is really something I think everybody could use a lot more of. I agree. I thought you were about to have like a Winston Churchill reference coming out there for a moment.
Yeah, Winston. I was going to bring it up because he's one of the people who comes to mind, that he had like a colossal strategic mistake. What battle was that he lost? There was a ton of lives lost. And he was pretty much, he had a long road back to being able in another position to lead the country. And without that like failure on his part, you don't have like a strong-willed individual who could carry a country through that difficult of a time, which is interesting because I don't know if I mentioned this in the podcast. I believe I did. I'm absolutely loving the audiobook of Fellowship of the Ring right now, Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien, I know was heavily influenced by World War I or World War II at the time of writing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk of our friends in the West, you know, the problem of the East, you know, whatever it is, like in the actual book. And it just made me think of Winston Churchill so often because essentially, like, there's in Lord of the Rings, and I'm becoming a Lord of the Rings nerd. That's kind of what's happening in this.
Oh, is that where this is going? This character arc of yours?
Yeah, Aragon is like from people of the West or something like that, right? Or the people of Numenor. So he's like he's like the last in a line of like epic men who came from the West or something like that. I'm kind of new to Lord of the Rings lore, even though I've seen all the movies, but the books go so much deeper in depth that it's kind of hard. If you think For All Mankind has a lot of characters, it's like you just read, like when you read Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, and you have like the genealogy of Christ.
Yeah,
that's what Lord of the Rings is like. Sometimes it's like Balin, the son of Galadriel, and then Durin, the son of. It's like all these different names, and you're just trying to remember all of them. But dude's a beast. Long story short, I don't remember where I was going with that, but we were talking about Churchill. So
yeah. Churchill. I think that the things that you were talking about was the campaign against Turkey and then the defense of Norway. Those are the two.
Yes. Yes. Don't you feel also that even though Gary Oldman, I'm watching Slow Horses on Apple TV.
Great
Gary
show.
Oldman's character in Slow Horses is heavily based on Churchill as well. I'm only 2 episodes in. Think about it. I'm only 2 episodes in, and I kind of feel like I know where it's going. Right? You got a guy. It's hard to separate Gary Oldman and Churchill because he literally plays Churchill in a movie, and you got this guy who's kind of in charge of a bunch of rejects. He probably has a failure in his past that we don't know about yet in Slow Horses, and he's kind of casted out to Slow House, right? And he's Slough House, whatever it is. And then he's probably going to have some pivotal role in season 1 that he saves the country or saves something. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like that same character arc, right?
Got it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I'm a bit farther ahead than you are. However, I will admit I have not started watching season 3, and I haven't quite finished season 2. Not because it's not good. Like, it was good. I was really liking where season 2 is going as well, but I just got sidetracked with other things, so I'll have to pick that back up.
Yeah. So I think one of the themes then, continuing on with For All Mankind, is like, what is Ed gonna do? Is he gonna turn against what young Ed did, which is take personal responsibility for something tough? Because the decision here is to cut his wings himself and to stop flying, or to figure out what the condition is, get it under control, and then come back, right?
Yeah.
That's a growing storyline that's reared its head in this episode. The other thing that I picked up on, and I thought it was masterfully done, which it was just very subtle, right? Was the impact on a child whose parents prioritize career over taking care of the kid. Okay? Specifically, both parents, right? And this is the comparison here, the contrasting example is the Stevens and Kelly Baldwin, okay?
Yep.
Now, Kelly doesn't have a husband because her husband died on Mars, right?
Well, I don't think they were married, were they?
No, but you figured they were gonna. You figured they were gonna get married. At least that's the vibe that we got from the show and their romance that happened. I believe her husband died because of a mistake Danny Stevens made. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Somebody fact check me, but there's a lot going on in the show. Zach, hopefully you can do it.
I want to say that is correct as well. I remember, after the big event, I think of the the mining machine exploding basically.
Yeah.
And that
Alexei.
He had like internal bleeding in his brain or something that ended up,
we thought he was fine, and then he died right after because he had internal bleeding.
Yeah.
So Alexei died, who's Kelly's the father of Alex, right?
Baby daddy.
All right.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't feel like an irresponsible baby daddy. It feels like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Anyways, he's dead. So if she leaves to Mars and leaves him behind, the way I said that was really harsh.
Know, it was the way you just entered into that sentence again. Yeah, but keep going.
And very, very on character for you to laugh when I say
I'm sorry.
Nothing brings a laugh out of that. I was kidding. If she leaves, yes, he has Olga to take care of him, but it's not apparent, right?
No.
So they did like a really neat cut between the scene with Danny Poole and Danny Stevens and cutting to Alex in his room playing with his toys. So really the three storylines that are converging there is Kelly's decision to take Alex with her to Mars, right? Pretty much telling Dev no. And what she doesn't know is that I believe Dev used that opportunity, right? Because Dev, one of his character arc this season really is coming back from not believing in people. Yeah. He was betrayed by people closest to him. His vision was betrayed. He was betrayed at a young age by his mother, who he feels abandoned him, right? Who we meet for the first time in this episode. And then he wants to go to Mars, and he never wants to come back because he feels he can build something better on Mars, right?
Yeah.
So he offers Kelly to go to Mars and pretty much pushes and pushes and pushes, like, you're going to really turn this down, blah, blah, blah. And you can see how much, I think it was a test to see Kelly's character, if she would prove him wrong about people, right? If like pretty much prove him wrong about what a good mother is, right?
Yeah.
Which that scene made me choke up when you see Dev crying, looking outside the window, which nice directing choice for him, for the rain to be hitting the window as that scene's going on.
Yeah.
Right. So that was altogether like a really neat scene for her to want to take Alex with her, which will make Alex once again the most famous kid on Earth, which he probably has his health problems, I put on the side note, because he was born in space or born in Mars. So
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Didn't develop, it didn't, I guess his heart maybe didn't develop fully. So he's not able to kind of, pump blood at normal gravity. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what she was saying, that he's actually better suited to be in space, which is crazy. So I hope there's other kids for him up there, because it seems like he's going to be the only kid in space.
Well, now, I mean, who knows? Maybe now that we've had one kid born in space, it'll be able to happen again. We're going to breed a bunch of Martians is essentially where this is going, right?
Yeah. Part of, I've wondered where this show's going. And we've had massive technological advancement in the seasons that have occurred, which was crazy because Kelly earlier in this episode was listening to the news on a radio, which I found ridiculous.
Man, I don't know what it is. I'm not to cut you off. Like, I want you to finish your point, but to what you're saying, like, I don't know why a lot of shows do this. I mean, like, I'm okay with it because I like that, like, retro technology thing, but
Yeah.
we always end up in this, like, weird middle ground of, like, there is some, like, super advanced tech, and then it's like, you got a flip phone still. Like, what?
Can I borrow that paper? I'm reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have
We're using
oil
a printing
anymore.
press still, but, we've got TVs.
Hey, well, when you're done, can you slide over that ring on the typewriter there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're super advanced, and yes, she's listening to her news on the radio. Anyways, I wanted to make a point about where I thought the season's going. So we have all this technological advancement. So to the point where you got a guy like Miles, who used to be a guy who worked on oil rigs, who is out of a job and out of an industry, who has to be forced to come to space and become a space smuggler, pretty much. He's like literally Han Solo over here. But you can kind of see the light in the tunnel with this Goldilocks asteroid, which has $20 trillion worth of iridium. And what the show's laying the groundwork for is another renaissance of technology, like just a renaissance of technology. So I honestly could see a scenario where they capture this asteroid. Next season does a ridiculous time skip. Like, we're now no longer rewriting previous history. We're going to write the future now. And so next season will be the last one, if I had to guess. And it'll be a vision for the future of what it could be. And then we go to Star Trek. And that's pretty much how For All Mankind ends.
I think the entire time I've been watching this show felt like this was going to be a 4-season show, but as of this episode, I do feel like it is going to go beyond the 4th season. Like if it was not going to, we got too much set up here. Like, to your point, like, all of the technological advances that we're supposed to see, like, we've got to know where that's going to take us. And I think it would be a disservice if they just did a time jump or a massive time jump in this season to show us where that is. Like, I don't really want to see that. Like, I think we're safe to move on from the Ed Baldwin storyline, and maybe we continue with Kelly Baldwin, and she's super old, living on Mars and has grandkids there. I have no idea, but I do think it'll at least go on for one more season. This episode.
I totally could see a scenario where next season does a, let's say, 15 to 20 year time jump, and we have Alex as the main character, as Alex Baldwin, the new admiral of blah, 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 and we're leaving the solar system or some crazy crap. You know what I mean? Where Dev is now as old as Ed is, and Kelly is.
Dev has his head severed in like in a frozen jar or something.
Yeah. Which could they make Dev any more like Elon Musk? I think there's literally the exact same scenario with Musk. Although I think they're taking a different route with, like, if he's closer to his mother or his father.
Yeah.
Musk's parents got divorced at a young age, I think. And he stayed with his dad while most of his other siblings went with the mother. So there's kind of like there's something there. I don't know what they're trying to do, but there's obviously some sort of drawing the line there. So
yeah,
I wonder if Musk has watched the show and ever like comments on like, oh, that's me. They're trying to do me again. That's me.
I feel like Elon Musk would say that on most shows that he watches. I mean, you got Invasion. He's like, that's me.
He should just have a wall. He should just have a wall of all the fake billionaires that TV shows have tried to make like after his image. And just do that. So
I mean, you can't see a billionaire just super involved in technology, leading the world and on a mission to go to Mars and not think that's Elon Musk.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so we finally got the end of the Danny Stevens storyline, and I hope it's the last that we ever have to say the name Danny Stevens again. He killed himself. That's what happened. He messed up. Okay, they isolated him. Questionable call. You know what I mean? They literally put his ass like in a capsule by himself.
I don't know if it's a questionable call. I mean, this guy literally was the reason so many other people died. Like, he's irresponsible and he's not safe to be around. So I'll disagree with you on that one. But
okay, I agree. You changed my mind immediately, because I guess what I was saying is the moment when he was begging Danielle to come back, it seemed like a different Danny. at that point.
It did. I do. I mean, he's been so broken in the last season even. Well, I mean, there hasn't been much of him in this season, but because he's dead. I do agree that he did seem like he's changed. He was a different Dani at that point, but I just feel like he'd gone too far. There was no coming back.
Yeah. Happy Valley wasn't really Happy Valley, and the scenes that we saw in the flashback, they were very ominous. We had a lot of straight on Danielle looking at the camera shots in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Where the kind of shots where you'd kind of turn around and see, kind of point at yourself like me, like you're looking at me. They were starving. Something had occurred there where they were literally starving and on rations. Where everybody looked so gaunt and just skinny as hell.
Remember, I mean, on the journey from Earth to Mars in season 3, we had to pick up some of the Russians. Right, the ones that didn't die from overheating.
Good catch.
Their nuclear engine, and I can't remember what the reason was, but everybody was stuck on Mars for like an extra year, longer than they were supposed to be. So I just think their rations were running low. They had too many people.
Yeah,
not enough supplies. And they didn't have any supplies coming anytime soon, unfortunately. So that's...
Why does it feel like every time humans have like a crazy adventure, you get some sort of Jamestown experience? Not moon-based Jamestown, but literal Jamestown when the pilgrims came over here from, Europe, where you had Jamestown, like almost everybody died. Right? And then the moon base, like you have Ed there, and it's the same situation. You got the high bob, bye bob.
Yeah.
They almost go insane, really, in that space pod. And now I feel like they got to be the most battle-tested, mentally resilient people in the planet. Ed, Baldwin, and Danielle.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just risk, right? I mean, you are going to a brand new place where you don't have anything set up. There's no source for food and water. Like you got to try and find it or make it. I mean, I kind of understand.
We're still reeling from the fact that Danielle sent Svetlana back to the Earthbound.
Yeah.
And Ed's giving her crap for it. He's disrespecting her in front of the crew. You can't have that. As the leader, you can't have that.
No.
And she does have it out with him to the degree that she clips his wings and she fires him. I think the firing of Ed was an emotional decision, and she'll backtrack from that. I think she will regret that decision because it was too much. To fire him was too much. She let the altercation. It was too much. It was their relationship. It was too much.
I'm making the face just because, I had a feeling that this was going to end up coming up at some point in this episode. Because last episode you were more on the Ed train than I was. I was on the Dani train or a Danielle train, whatever. I still am. So I don't know. I mean,
I never said I wasn't.
I think it's the thing that Ed needs, right? I think it was the best decision for everybody here, and I do hope, however, that you're right. And it's like, hey, what else does he have to lose? Now he goes to the doctor. Maybe he finds out that this thing is curable, and then he fixes himself and is able to come back and fly the mission. Like maybe that'll happen. That'd be awesome if it did, but I don't know that she's actually going to regret this. I disagree on that one, but that's just my opinion.
It's just tempers raged. Okay. Emotions got high. They both said things. Cause here's the thing. You got the other theme of this episode. Bro, I swear, I don't know what my neighbors do upstairs. Like truly, or is it raining outside?
I have no idea. It's not raining here.
Oh, it's raining outside. Okay.
All right.
Cause I'm like, I don't know what this guy does up there. Like sometimes it's like I feel like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers.
Oh yeah.
He's talking about his mom where she's like, I don't know what she does back there. Mom, meatloaf. What does she do back there? Anyways. Where was I going with that? Okay, the other theme in this episode was Danielle needing to prepare a speech for her son's wedding. And she has a hard time doing it because her work husband is Ed Baldwin. Really, if you think about it, her work partnership is Ed Baldwin, and she has a dysfunctional relationship going on, and she can't focus, which is normal, right? She's the kind. I'm like that too. If something is not
perfect and
out of the
good
open.
and copacetic. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard.
well,
It's hard to pry yourself away from that.
If there's not equilibrium in all assets, like all facets of life, I have to even smooth it out and then we move forward, you know?
Yeah.
And for her, she couldn't get the speech out. So I figure we'll have the redemption of that arc and redemption of her relationship with Ed. And then eventually, once she has that, then she'll write this beautiful speech for her son and bless the marriage. Because Danielle's an awesome character, but I think she'll want to claw back that firing of Ed because that's too much. Even though they both said shit that they probably want to take back. She literally said "F you," and he was like, you handed him a Bible. Essentially, he got mad at her because Ed kind of he's not like I don't think he believes in God, so to speak, and he also has a huge ego. Like Danielle says, like he swears he's like the gift to the cosmos himself,
Mm-hmm.
And he blames her in some way for Dani killing himself rather than blaming himself for she nailed what he said, what he is. He promotes people and gives people positions because he likes them. Yeah. Rather than if they're qualified or they're ready for the position. And she's more of like an administrator where she's just like, no hard feelings, but you ain't ready for this, or not going to do this because Dani is literally an alcoholic, and we're not going to trust somebody like that going
using
to freaking
drugs
Mars
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't know about the drugs, but you could clearly tell he was drinking like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And she did help Dani when he was training to get back in. So let's not forget that too.
Yeah.
They're both responsible for Dani's death in some way, right? And could they have brought him back to the ship when he was contrite and ready to come back? I don't know, because we had seen that song and dance from Dani before. You definitely can't bring him back with any sort of responsibility. He's dead weight. He's a burden on everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
But let me tell you, man, I would love to interview the writer of the show who was responsible for that storyline with Dani and Karen Baldwin.
Of course you would.
That guy or girl hates the Stevens kids. Like, hates them. Like, you made one, which, like, I always kind of had empathy for Dani in terms of, like, Karen was fine as can be. Like, a woman like that comes on to you, you can judge if you want, but come on. Anyways, Karen should have known better in that situation. Then they make his brother Jimmy a domestic terrorist.
Pretty much.
Or a facilitator of domestic terrorists. And we haven't heard from him, and I hope we never see him in the show personally.
Yeah,
I hope this is just the end of the Stevens episode, characters, and we're moving on from it because Kelly's taking her son to Mars, and so he's not going to have the similar fate as a Dani Stevens. Thank God.
Yeah,
maybe Dani Stevens' kid. Dani Stevens' kid will probably be a character in the time jump thing because he has a kid. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, he does. He does have a kid.
Little girl, I think.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
So it'll be the little girl who gets with Alex Stevens, and then it'll be like it'll be the redemption of the Stevens. But I think
the Stevens and the Baldwins at it again. No, come on. No, we can't have that.
Ooh, you're right.
We can't have that, my friend. That is turning into such an incestual relationship.
No, how's it incestuous? How is it incestuous? It's not incestuous at all.
Well, not yet, I guess, technically. But I mean, you've got other members of your family sleeping with the same family's members. Like, it's just a little weird.
What would that be? That would be Alex's grandma slept with his father-in-law. Ew.
Yeah, it's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's getting to the boundaries, right? But yeah, I can see that. But I think the Stevens might be like the Kennedys. Like, they might just be, if any of them go to space, nothing ends well for the Stevens,
Yeah, I mean, nothing has ended well for them, and it's all been their demise in space or on another planet.
Yep.
So,
all right. So where do we go from here, Zach?
Well, I think first of all, I do want to say this has been a great mid-season episode. Like, I really liked this. I was pretty bought into this episode. This season has been phenomenal. I think overall,
I think the season might be the best since like season 1 and 2. Like,
it's up there, man. I think it's going to be really hard, and I'm only going to say it because we're talking about season 4. You had to have watched seasons 1 and 2, but if you haven't, go ahead and skip it. I think it's going to be so hard to top season 2 just because of what happened with the Stevens on the moon. But
yeah,
like,
but you know what,
man, that one makes me upset every time I think about it.
But you know what, I think The other thing I was thinking about when I watched the episode is that there's so much going on and so many characters.
Yeah.
That it does get, although you care about all of them, they're doing it well, it does feel like you're moving at a snail's pace with everybody's story in a way, because you're bouncing to 10 different characters throughout the episode.
It does. Yeah. I mean, it only happens in this episode where, Ilya realizes that Miles is smuggling rocks off of Mars. We didn't talk about that one in this yet, but nothing has really come of it yet. I mean, Ilya's eyebrows just raised. He's like, he knows something's up. He knows he's doing something. He knows exactly what he's doing, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of testing Miles in a way as well in this episode, and Miles just didn't say anything, didn't mention anything about it, which I think is, in my favor, at least with the bet. Like, I do think that he's going to be, he is going to be the catalyst for something very bad that happens. I don't know what that will be yet. But I do foresee that coming. As far as where else are we going to go in this? I think you're right that we're going to see probably some sort of redemption with Bald. I'm looking forward to a potential family reunion with Kelly and Ed and Alex. Like, I think that'll be exciting to see.
Well, we also might be heading towards Kelly's heading to Mars and Ed is leaving, and they don't see each other again.
That also crossed my mind during this episode. I was like, man, they're not going to do that, are they? But then I'm thinking, like, is there another big ship sitting docked at Mars just ready to, like, head home?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe unless it's like one of those, like, I don't know, a freight ship, whatever you want to call that. It's just carrying supplies back and forth. Maybe he could hitch a ride on that. I don't think he's going to leave Mars. I think that guy will die on Mars. But no, I do hope we get to see a little bit of a family reunion, because I'm kind of sad that we didn't see any of that. I don't even know if Ed's seen Alex in real life.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That may not have even ever happened.
No, I think it did. I think at some point it did.
Maybe. I think the big thing about this whole season at this point is just going to be all about mining this asteroid. It's going to be the preparation for it. It's going to be hopefully the redemption of Ed. And I don't know, maybe we'll find a lot of new supplies on Mars, like living organisms. We'll be mining the rock, and then that's just going to propel us into the next season 5. That's kind of where I think we're headed, and where this is probably going to leave off. I don't know if there's going to be another like big pivot thrown our way. I don't know if you disagree, though.
No, I largely agree with everything you said. I also think we're on a collision course towards a Samantha and Miles love affair occurring, because we see Samantha has another man.
Yeah.
And maybe she's trying to get over Miles, but it sure seems like Miles is jealous. And,
he's totally jealous.
And it sure seems his wife is all happy now, because the money's pouring in. So she's but she really doesn't know how to talk to to Miles. Anyway, she's like, I never really believed this could happen. No man wants to hear that. You know what a man wants to hear is, I always believed in you, honey. I always believed in you, baby. There was never a doubt in my mind. They don't want to hear like, it was getting dark there. I really didn't think you were going to pull through for us. I'll be honest with you.
I never thought you were a loser, man.
I never in my wildest dreams imagined that you could be successful at anything, Miles.
Yeah.
Like, that's like him, like.
Yeah, like I said, Snip. Yes. I don't think that relationship is going to last at all. Miles is totally going to get with Samantha. He's jealous. They both have it for each other. I mean, she's busy with some other people at the moment, but he's married. I don't know how well he communicates to his wife though, Miles, because I don't think I've ever seen him send a video. And the only video that we've tried that he tried to send was horrible. So, that might be a bidirectional communication problem.
Samantha also seems like she's heading towards being like a workers' union coup leader. Like. She's never happy about anything. She's like, they're working on 6 days a week. They're going to work double shifts and 10-hour shifts.
Yeah.
I think it's time to send Samantha's ass home, to be honest. Like, she is very disgruntled down below. She's going to cause an issue pretty soon. I I could see a scenario where Miles does end up being a mess up, like you say he will, where he just blows up Ilya's sill and a hole is opened and out of a happy, like something could go wrong with that alcohol sill, right? Where
Yeah,
just
I
something
think it's
blows
more
up.
of the business, the import export business. Like he's drawing too much attention to it. I mean,
Oh, they're trying to they like smuggle a human.
I was gonna say, where's the Korean?
Yeah, yeah. They got to bring Lee's wife to him, which is going to cause a geopolitical disaster,
Yeah,
right? If you think the Russia situation is bad, I want to see Eli's heart rate after his meeting with the North Korean leader.
And here's the thing: Miles is at the center. He's the catalyst for whatever is going to go down with this Korean versus everybody else situation here.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
all right, let's get into some categories.
let's do it. Let's do favorite character of the episode.
Man, I'm gonna say Dev Ayesa on this one. I thought he had like a standout performance in this episode, and learning a bit about his backstory and why he's doing what he's doing is to the point of also kind of testing out Kelly in a way, in a kind of Willy Wonka-esque way. You know, shout out to Wonka coming out this Friday. So,
Oh, it's coming out that soon. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna give mine to Danielle. I liked her.
Okay.
And look, I completely agree with the things that she said, though many of them were emotional. She's 100% correct about Ed. And I do think Ed is really in the wrong. So I'm
I
picking
agree.
her.
By the way, I agree.
Yeah. I liked it. Like
Everything
I think
was
she
warranted.
took it for this episode for me.
Everything was warranted, even the firing. I just think that the firing, she could have waited a day, and if she still felt strongly about it, then she could have done it the next day rather than when her emotions were running high.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe next episode they'll both apologize to each other, kiss and make up, but it'll still be fired.
Yep.
Favorite scene in the episode?
Kelly telling Dev she wants to take Alex to space was my favorite scene.
That was a good one. I am between, I guess, the dramatic scenes in this one. I'm between Danielle firing Ed,
Okay.
Dev talking to his mother, and the other one I kind of liked what's his name? Palmer talking to Danielle. I liked that little bit.
That was a good scene. Yeah.
I
He owned
liked
it.
that one.
Palmer owned every second of that scene for sure.
Yeah. How about favorite line of the episode?
I got you.
Okay, you got me. What's up?
There are a million reasons not to do something. You have to find the reason to do it. Said by Karen Baldwin moments before having an affair with Danny Stevens.
Oh, shit.
I got a second one too.
Oh, I got to hear this. Come on.
Let's get off our soapbox, which was said by Al Gore's rep when Al Gore took single-handed credit for discovering the asteroid, which is hilarious.
I think Kelly's here.
Which was a shout out to us, the Soapbox Network.
Yeah, it is a shout out. They knew we were going to comment on this, so they had to name drop us in there. Good lines. The first one that you picked is definitely the best of the two. Man, this was an interesting one. This was a difficult one for me with lines, so I'm probably going to. No, I'm not gonna piggyback. I'm just gonna double down on this whole situation with Danielle and Ed. You know, when she was talking about there's many things in life that she regrets, but this decision isn't going to be one of them. Like that's the one that stands out to me when I think back on this episode. Specifically, think back on Danielle's parts in this episode. I'm gonna go with that one.
Their whole relationship has been fake this season. Like they've under the surface have both. I think more on Danielle towards Ed,
smiling through their teeth. Yeah.
Well, it feels more like 70-30. Danielle hates Ed's guts, while Ed does not really hate Danielle. He like 30% hates her.
I don't know that they look.
They've always not what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's too strong of a word, but like they've always kind of been. They always have disagreed with each other, and I think it's been a healthy disagreements in the past where there's been like conversation, and I don't want to say debate, but I mean like both sides of the equation were voiced in the past. And like Ed, man, in this season, he's just an old fool. He's bullheaded. Like, I mean, like I'm just saying,
we're
like
never gonna get Joel Kinnaman on the show.
Look, I love Joel Kinnaman. In fact, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie coming out that he's in. What's the name of that again? Silent Night. Yeah. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Love the character. He's still one of my top favorite characters of the entire show.
Okay.
But come on, there's no way that he reads the script and he doesn't know, like, man, Ed's a douchebag this season. Like, he's just strong arming everybody as he goes through life in this season, trying to make everybody, bend to his will and his way. So
yeah,
nothing against Joel Kinnaman. This is between me and Ed Baldwin at this point.
This is like Ed Baldwin, like when a superstar athlete is past his prime. But you still give him like the "what you did for us" contract.
Yeah.
This is like Ed on his "what you did for us" contract. Well, we got to get him out and bring in the new person.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's wrap it up.
Alrighty.
Thank you all for listening. We hope you're enjoying For All Mankind, and we hope you're enjoying our podcast coverage. First and foremost, I want to thank our Patreon supporters, Susie, Jose, Linder, and Matthew. Thank you so much. You don't have to, but you still do support us, and we appreciate that so much, all of you out there who just not only listen to the show, but choose to give to help us produce these episodes in a way that we can invest back into the network, which we continually do.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. Stay tuned for our Hard Knocks coverage. This is a just a programming schedule note. It's a busy week for me with production shoots this week. And I will not be releasing a Hard Knocks episode on Tuesday or Wednesday, more than likely. So that'll be coming out towards the end of the week. And then our Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, and For All Mankind coverage, one of the two will probably get pushed slightly a little bit this week. So sorry, Zach.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you notice that we got a new Patreon member this evening?
Yes.
Matthew.
But it is a familiar name. I know Matthew's name, and cool. I've seen him there before, so I don't believe he is new. I just think that yeah.
Well, it came across my inbox, so thank you anyways, Matthew.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any other plugs?
No, I can't think of anything at the moment, so.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of For All Mankind by Story Archives. You can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify podcasts. You can visit us on YouTube at Soapbox Podcast Network. Our website is soapbox.house. You can email us at contact@soapbox.house. And we do have a link in the description below to sign up for our quarterly newsletter.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Until next time, have a nice soul.